Thank you for watching. My name is Frank, and this makes me look like I'm flying an airplane. Today, we are going to be learning the basics of HTML scripting. What is HTML scripting? Well, it's one of the original scripts used to create web pages. A friend of mine was talking to me and was wondering if there was just an easy way to set up a one-pager website with some pictures and information and a logo and some links to his email and phone number if anybody wanted to get on their mobile phones and select a number and have it pinned to calling the number selected. And I said, yeah, it's very simple. Just use regular HTML scripting for a simple one-pager, and that's all you need. You don't really need to go all fancy and creating like little animations and things and menus and whatnot if you just want a simple one page with some information on it. Just regular HTML scripting is the way to go. So let's get started. Alright, so we have this HTML file, okay, and we're going to open it up. And what happens is it's going to open up in a web browser, okay? And this is not on the internet at all. This is basically the file saved as a web page unit onto your desktop, or onto my desktop. And there's all kinds of codes hidden behind this. So we have, a simple, like, say you wanted to set up a one pager for your business. Let's say it's a barbershop, like here, and it's Frank's Cuts. And we got the little design, or what they call a example or a sample photo. And then you got your hours, and you got some information, and then you have an email, and then a callback. And all of this is basically, there's some script hidden behind all of this magic, and let me show you how that works. So if you go down here to the file and you right click and you say you want to open with Notepad, which is the base little app on my computer that I use for most scripting, and you can see that there's all kinds of code hidden behind that web page. And this is what you call HTML tags. So that, like, they're different tags and points that you put in variables to do different things, like adjusting a background color, image size, logos, text and text size, and the type of text you want. So we're going to start from scratch, actually. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the index.html and we're just going to trash it because we're going to start out with a fresh one. So this may seem boring for just a minute, but please bear with me here, okay? We're going to start from complete scratch, and so I'm going to use Notepad as my text document. And with anything like a Notepad or WordPad that I open up, I could actually use to create scripting for pretty much anything. But for now, we're just going to use regular HTML tags, and we're gonna open this thing up. We're going to start with HTML. So what does the HTML tag do? Well, what it is basically the opening script point, so that the entire document recognizes it as a web-based file itself. So anything else you input will be subjected to as a website and designed that way, and it's recognized that way. More so over when you upload this file to your web directory, which is completely separate from your computer. The web directory, or the web host with the web directory, recognizes that, hey, it's an HTML web page, and then continues to scan through the entire website and load from there. So now that we've created our HTML tag, we're going to try to insert some metadata in there. And by doing that, we're going to start with the head tag. So we're going to go head. Okay. And in the head tag, we're going to base a title. Okay. And title, I'm going to call it Frank's Cuts. Just for fun. Because in this example, I'm going to be using the idea of a barbershop scene or website. And we're going to create an end tag. And an end tag has a / and then we're going to title again end tag. End tags, basically what happens here, what happens to an end title tag or an end tag is the web host that you choose from, when it loads the website, will look at that and go, oh, it doesn't need to load that anymore, so I can stop that and then continue down the list. What the title tag also does is name your web page. So when you look at Frank's Cuts and you open the website in a web browser, in the top tab, in the tab of whatever website you have, it'll show the name up in that tab listing. So basically we just given our website a name, and it no longer needs to search for that, so we can continue forth. It doesn't need to search for any metadata other than that. So we will do an end tag on the head. And then we will start working on the design of the website. So to do that, we'll open up a tag called body. And what the body portion of the tag does is show the design for the web page from the top to the bottom. So when we put an end tag on the body, and I always like to do this. I don't like to do this at like the last part of the page. I like to have it up already so I can just hit return or enter. And then I have the space between body and end body where it can just work. And then the end tag will automatically be there. So for this page, I want everything to actually be in the center of the page. So there's another tag called center. And then on that note, I want to end the center at the bottom of the page. Okay. And this is where my workspace is going to be, right in between these center tags. Okay. Let's say for the first thing I want to do is, for the very top of my page, I want to actually put in a logo for my page. And I actually have a picture image file. It's a PNG file. PNG means that the data inside that picture file has some transparency to it. So what you're seeing here is basically the logo, and everything behind it is transparent. So that means I can put any kind of background color I want and not have to worry about changing anything. So that's already set up, and we'll just continue by putting the image in. In order to do that, we'll create an image tag or an image source tag. And so we're going to type in img src, short for image source. We're creating equal sign and then quotation marks. And between the quotation marks is where you want to target your file or location for things like other files or links or things like that. So this one, in this particular case, it's going to be the source for the image file. So we're going to type in logo. Actually, it's also case sensitive, so you don't want to put in capital, because since the file is all lowercase, we want to make sure that everything else is lowercase too. Otherwise, it will load an error on the page and it won't load the file. And then your website will look like crap. So it's logo.png file. Okay. And it's automatically in the center of the page. So for now, we actually want to save this file, and I'm using the desktop as an example for the web directory. So where the file is located is basically where your web directory will be. I'll explain that to you in a minute, because after we're done creating the website, I'll even show you how to set up the web server and load all your files to it and everything, so that everything that you've created is online, up and running, and people can type in your website and everything that you created will be there. So we're going to go ahead and save it. Okay. And it's going to open up a new thing. We're not going to call it a text file. Instead, we're going to call it an HTML file. So we are going to name it index.html, and there's a whole thing, again, why we call it index, and I'll explain that to you here in a little bit. But on the desktop, we're going to call it file name index.html instead of text or txt. And we're going to save it. And now it's on our web page, if you look down here, or it's on our desktop as index.html, and it's saved as kind of like a web file. So when you click on it, and I'm just going to load a different browser here, you can see that I've done something wrong already. As you can see at the very top, it shows that there's an image link that's broken. So I've done something wrong here, and I need to fix that. But as you can see, that's what's started. So, and it's at the very top of the page like we need it. But I'm going to go ahead and minimize this, and I'm going to figure out. Oh, I said ONG. So we're going to change that to PNG. Oh, not capital. PNG. And we're going to save it. And this is how you come back and forth and preview. So you can save what's going on here, and then you can come back to the web page, and then you can refresh, and there you have it. So that's everything that we need here. It's the exact size I want. It's in the exact place that I want. So then we can continue moving forthwith. So we've got our image source file here, and I want to complete the tag, and then I actually want to end image source because I don't need because I don't need it searching for that image anymore. So it's going to continue continue further south. And the next thing I want to do is bring in my title. So I want to create a nice big header for it. So I'm going to install an H1 tag. And on this H1 tag, it means the different size variables of your header text. So I can just actually start typing in, whatever I want. Save. And then I think the problem here is that it would normally show up on the side over here because it didn't detect that it was underneath here, which could be a problem if you decide to resize it to a smaller. But again, just for safekeeping, because I know that everybody's web browsers are different, we want to make sure that all of the scripting is actually correct. So, and in doing so, right past the image source, I'm going to create a break, which is another tag, and we're going to select BR in that tag. And what that'll do is that'll break away from the side of it and put whatever's underneath the image instead of on the side of it. So if I wanted to put two images together, but I wanted them underneath each other, I would put break and then another image down here. But since I've already put in my H1 tag, you saw that the text was a lot bigger than it usually is. Without that tag, I'm going to go ahead and take that H1 out, save, and I can show you quickly that it would be a lot smaller, almost invisible. I don't know if that's my screen size or what, but anyway, I'm going to put that back in, and then I'm going to type in Frank's Cuts. Haha. So we have Frank's Cuts, and then we're going to say end H1 tag. Why do I say H1? Because there's a different size in variables when using header tags. So header 1 is the largest size. Header 6 or H6 is the smallest size. So it goes from largest to smallest based on the higher numbers. I don't know why it's backwards like that, but hey, you know, you'd think that the higher number, the higher the letter, but it's backwards in this case. We're going to save it and refresh page. So that looks nice, but I kind of want a different font. We're going to put it underneath the H1 tag. And in HTML5, I know that in HTML4 it used to be, the tag used to be font, face, and then you had your equals, and then your parentheses, and then you type in something like Arial black, or sorry, Arial. Okay, this is really okay. Arial black, and then it would be this, right? And it would change your font. But since since all the web browsers updated to HTML5, I think it was about like almost 10 years ago, even more than that. There's a different tag, and I'm going to show you here how to use it. And the tag is actually inside the paragraph instance. So it used to be just like you type in P and you'd have a whole paragraph thing to work with, but they've added the font styles inside of the paragraph tag, so I'm going to show you that. So you'd type in P style equals, and then you'd say font family, or it's like font and then dash and then family. And then you'd have your two dot sign. I forget what that character is called, but there's your two dot sign. And then type in after that whatever font you want to use. So in my case, I still want to use Arial black. And then that would complete our font tag. Not style. Thank you guys. Okay. So, and then after that, after Frank's Cuts, we want to say end paragraph. And then that completes that. That ends the font that's being used, and it will continue forthwith and end the header tag, and then continue with regular text or whatever. So we'll save this. We'll go in, and as you can see, it's updated the Arial black font, and it's going to continue further south. Okay, I should add that when you put the font in with the header, the font actually, or the tag for the font has to actually be in between the header tags in order for that font to be specifically used for that header. Otherwise, it will not work. It'll just go off somewhere else. And the font will be used of the text outside of the headers versus inside of the header. Let's say after the Frank's Cuts file or title, I'm going to go ahead and put in another image. And let's say it's the sample of one of my supposed haircuts. Okay. And I'll have to put in another break tag just to make sure that that shows up underneath underneath the title. Okay. And for the image, I want to do another image tag. So img source, and we'll put in the title. The name of the file in this one is actually called hair1, and it's a JPEG file, so we'll put in JPG, and it's all lowercase. Excuse me. And oops, tag is before the quote sign. Okay. And then here we'll end the image source because we don't need it to search for it anymore. And keep in mind, the more you end tag things right after you start them, if you don't need them anymore, it saves you a ton of what they call search space. So we're going to end that image source, and right here we'll save it and we'll preview it. And here you can see you have the picture right underneath your title, and looks great. Everything looks good. Let's say I want to have some information, so I'll put in a paragraph. Or P. And I'll say Frank's Guts is the best styling place in town, or something like that. And then I want to end that paragraph. And then I just want to save and then preview. Now we have this bottom piece here. Frank's Cuts is the best styling place in town. And just to be safe again, right just above the, or just below the end image source, I'm going to put in another break. Alright, you could capitalize it too. I just prefer all lowercase. It makes it easier for your web host to understand what your web file or website is actually doing. So we have this np, and let's say I want to create a lot of space between that and the links below. So what I'll do is I'll end up putting in a whole bunch of break tags. So and then I'll cheat by highlighting this, copying, Control C, and then Control V, paste, right? And that'll give me a lot of space between the paragraph or the information paragraph and my links. So in this case, I want to go ahead and put in an email. So I will say email, actually, let's make the link the email word. So we'll go href, and I'll say mail to, and then I'll type in my email address. So I'll go in. And yes, this is my real email address. So we'll have ahref mail to the 2 dots, and then it'll say franksfair@hotmail.com. And then what that'll do is that'll allow me to input some text as a link. And then I'll end that link by saying end a, which is the link, and then I'll space that to create a space between email and the words me. So email me today. We'll save this. We'll preview it. So yeah, now we've created a whole bunch of breaks in between, so we have plenty of space between here and here. And at the bottom, it says email me today. I can't really see too well those smaller letters, I think. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a bold text. And I think the only way to create a bold text or anything to do with the text is in between the paragraphs, just like the header. So I want to, in between, I want to put in a tag called bold. And underneath that, I want to end that bold. And then with this one, I actually want to create bold text all around, so I'll just put in B. Right. And I'll do an end B right underneath the center, because at the very bottom of the page I don't want any unbolded letters after that. So this will be my new workspace right in between here. Alright, so we're gonna save and then refresh, and then we can see that we've got bold text all the way around, no single hitches. And at the bottom where it says email me, if you click on that link, it will automatically open up your host email, and it will put in the email address that you inputted in that email tag. So as you can see right here, frickstray@hotmail.com. So when you click on the email link, it automatically goes to your email client and then sets up the email listed, and then you can immediately type in a subject and stuff and then send them an email. And that is basically what this link mail to tag does. Now, if you're on a cell phone, what you're going to need to do, if you want to add your phone number in, what you're going to need to do is, we're going to do a break underneath this, and then we're going to actually, just to cheat a little bit, I'm going to copy the mail, because it's basically the same kind of tag. There's only there's only like one difference, or a couple differences. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to paste it down here, okay? And instead of saying mail to, I'm going to type in TEL, and that's going to list a phone number. So I actually want to change my email address to this phone number, 793104436. And yes, that is my real number, so please do not prank me. Do not prank call me. Ever. Ever. Alright, we got that in. So we'll type in my, not my phone number, I'll say call, and then on that link, we'll end that link where it says call. And then we'll space it and we'll say call for an appointment. And then for the bottom, the very bottom of this, we'll do a whole bunch more breaks. Copy, and we'll paste it at the bottom. And at the bottom of it, we'll say COVID-19 friendly. Friendly establishment, BR. And just for fun, I'm going to put in copyright for Hex Code. There's no real copyright, I'm just babbling on now. 2021. There's a symbol for the copyright with the circle in it. I just don't remember where it's at. I'm not going to worry about it at this point. But and if you see, let's see, right, and then from here we're gonna take a look at what we have. We have our basic setup now, so we're gonna save and we're gonna preview this, and we're gonna look and see what we can do with it. Okay. We have email me today, which should load the email client and pop up with the email address, so you can immediately subject and message and send instantly. And then you have the call for an appointment, and if I hit call, I'll say this site is trying to open your phone, which means it worked. So if I hit open, and this is my desktop, so that's what will load there. But if you're on your phone, it will load up your call on your phone, and it will immediately call whatever number that you listed in the HTML tag. I'm looking at this and I'm trying to see what else I can do. I may want to change the color of the background simply because when people see the website, I don't want them to hurt their eyes for this blaring light. So I may want to actually darken the color a little bit. The way to do that is by adding a variable into the body tag. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in BG color equals, and then the two things, and then between the quotes, the thing about the color is that it doesn't read a specific type of color. Like if you type in dark gray or ocean blue or something like that, it won't read, it won't understand what you're talking about. The web server, when it goes through and it reads each line tag for tag, it's going to say background, okay, and then it's going to say BG color, and it's going to want to wonder what that color variable is. And the only way it does that is through hex coding. To explain this better, I have a little cheat sheet here, and basically these are the RGB colors for different variables. So when we look in here, we can actually see the hex code belonging to each individual color. So all you have to do is look at the sheet and go, okay, well, I want to pick this color, and in order to put that on the background of the website or on any variable in the website, like a text or even to change the tint of an image or whatever, it will need that hex code. So in this case, for like a mid to dark gray, I want to put in this hex code, and there, if you can see here, they're all 9s. So, and then it has a number sign beyond that hex, and each code, regardless if they're between letters and numbers, they're only 6 digits, only 6. So this one has 6 9s, and then it has a number sign on the beginning of it. So what we'll do is we'll put in the number sign, and then we'll put in 999999, and then 6 9s, and then what that'll do is that'll change the background color. So we'll save it, and then we'll preview it, and it's actually dark now, so it looks good and it doesn't hurt my eyes, so everything looks good. Okay, so what else do we want to do? To me, and this is just my style, my way of thinking, still looks kind of bland. So maybe I want to kind of spice up the logo area with maybe a couple of images on the left and right to just kind of spark it up. So what I have is a couple of PNG images. Again, it just shows the pole, the barber pole, and on the side in the background is completely transparent, so I can actually put this anywhere in the website that I want to. Okay, and let's say I want to put that at the beginning and end of the logo. So I'm going to cheat again. I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to paste it twice. So we have logo, 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 but we don't want 3 logos. We want 2 poles, a logo in the middle. So this particular file name is actually pole. So I'm going to rename these 2, the top and the bottom, pole.png, all lowercase again. P-O-L-E. Okay. And I don't want to separate them with breaks because I don't want them at the top and the bottom of the logo image. I want them on the sides. So we're going to actually preview this and see what that looks like. Sorry. Save. And already we got some problems here. You can see it, like, remember when I said if you hit break it goes off in different, but I'm not going to use break. I'm actually going to resize these so they fit better on both sides of the logo. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a variable called height. And that'll actually adjust the height. I spelled that wrong, didn't I? The height of the image, basically the top and the bottom of the image. It'll adjust the height, and it will also adjust the width automatically in that instance. If I wanted to, I could adjust both. I could say width and height on both of these, width and height, and it would adjust accordingly. But I don't want to stretch the image sideways. I just want to shrink it. So I'll just use the height variable, and in order to get the right height size down that I want, I have to take a look at the actual image file itself. So minimize this, and we'll go back to the pole file, and I'm going to right click, hit properties, and on the properties I'm going to hit details, and the details will tell you exactly what's in it and what dimensions are. So the dimensions of the entire file itself is 408 by 612. So the width is actually smaller than the height is actually bigger, which is accurate. So 612 is what we're working with, and so we're going to hit cancel, and then we're going to go back to height here, and we're going to type in half the size. So instead of 612, we're going to go 312. And the heights are measured in pixels, so we don't have to worry about, switching to inches or anything like that. Furthermore, the first pole I want to be designated on the upper left side of the screen. So we actually want to align it. Why do I keep putting capitals? Okay. Align, space, and we want to keep a space between each variable so that it goes through each of these and finds each variable and calculates everything accordingly as it's being searched from top to bottom. I call it north and south. But anyway, so here we have image source. It reads that it's pull. It goes to the align, finds that it's going to be aligned to the left side of the page. Okay, and then it's going to read the height. It's going to read 312 pixels as opposed to the 612 that it originally loaded. And on the bottom, we'll do the same thing. We'll the align variable, and instead of it being left, we'll designate it to the right side of the screen. And on the height, we'll do the exact same. Make sure I spell that correctly. We'll do the exact same length. So yeah, everything looks good. We're going to save this and see exactly what it's doing. Refresh. And then bam. It's half its size. The left is designated to the left side. The right's designated to the right side. And the barbershop logo is right in the middle, which is where we need it. So it looks a little bit more better. It's got, you know, some extra pizzazz to it. And that's what I like. I could, like, you know, tweet this all day, but yeah. So basically, let's say this is how we want it. This is a simple, you know, site. Goes in, people see it. The barbershop. It says Frank's Cuts, and then it has a cool looking hairstyle, and then a little paragraph that explains, you know, a little bit about the business or whatever. And then it has an email, and then a place to call for an appointment. And then on the bottom, it's COVID-19 friendly establishment. Copyright Frank's Cuts to 2021. And everything is looking good. And let's say I want to set my website up this way, so when people type in frankscuts.com or whatever, this page will load, and that's what I want to see. But remember, I have not saved this to the internet yet. You can't access this yet because I haven't loaded it to the actual web server. And that's what we're going to be talking next after I take a look at the code and go from there. Already I can see a few things that I can input to kind of help the web document be understood by the web server and all of the different web crawlers from every single one of the different web browsers and search engines. So I don't know, we got the regular HTML tag up here, and there's a variable that I can add that actually helps it further understand what kind of web, or you know, what web page it is, what we're dealing with here. If it's just if it's a regular HTML document, or if it has some PHP code, or if it has some CSS code, which is all different scripting. If you want to start adding, you know, animations and menus and different pages and things like that, and little animations to load each different page, it all has that. But at the same time, if you go to like Wix.com or something, or any web hosting service that provides a web builder app that you could actually use, you could actually start building your website and dragging and drop items and variables without having to enter any code, which is like the best thing in the world. But like I said, if you just want to know a simple one-pager with some information and links, knowing HTML is a great thing. Even though it's considered a dinosaur, it's still a good platform to understand and know. And it bases the scripting bases itself off of most of other scripting. So once you understand how HTML scripting works, you also begin to understand how other scripting works as well, including JavaScript, which is another dinosaur, but it's still being used today. So with the HTML tag, I actually want to put in a variable, and it's going to be a exclamation point. In all capitals, it's going to say doc type. Doc type, and then HTML, and then that's the tag. And that'll help most of the search engines understand exactly what it is, just a little bit better than the usual tag. And then for this, since we changed it to doc type, we can add another HTML tag. HTML. And then on this, if we want to have it in just plain English, if you have, let's say, for instances, and I know this is in some rare cases, if you have an operating system that's in a different language and you want to load your website, but it doesn't understand what language it is, the text becomes scrambled and you don't understand exactly what it's saying at all, regardless of what language you're in. So in this case, since we're in America, we're going to put in lang for short, which is language, and then we're going to do a parentheses, or sorry, quotation marks, and then en, English for short. So what it'll do is it'll automatically load in English, and then when there's another basically when there's another operating system from another part of the world that wants to enter your website for whatever reason, their search engine or web browser should have an automatic language translator. So when they load the document, when they load the website, it'll tag that. It'll read through that HTML tag and go language English, so it understands that it's the English language, and then it converts it to their translation language from there. So on their end they can understand what language you're speaking, so they can actually read the website and what it is. Because then all the words and text gets translated from the English language to their language automatically. It's really cool. Alright, so in this case we've added everything that we needed, and as I'm scrolling through here we can see that we've end tagged everything that doesn't need to be researched and loaded again. So everything is in order, and then we end the bold text, and then we add the center of it all together, and then we end the body of it, and so it'll stop searching for extra content at that point. And then we need to end the HTML scripting, which will tell the web server that the website is completely done loading, and that way it doesn't keep searching and searching and searching and end up using all kinds of memory space on your end user's computer or the web server, so to speak. It's kind of like a save all space deal. So the scripting looks like it's done, so we'll hit save, and we'll go ahead and exit out of this, and then we'll refresh this, take another look at it. Everything looks normal, everything looks great. It's everything that we want, so then all we have to do is just upload this document to the web server.